under these conditions. God damn it.
I know.
Should have worked this into my contract.
Yeah.
Yeah,
where's my trailer?
Where's
no
my
trailer,
finger
no makeup, no
foods?
catering,
God
no
damn
wardrobe.
it.
Jesus.
I demand baby carrots.
You can put,
Baby
you
carrots.
put that in your rider.
Nice.
All right, back for another episode of Crosstalk. I'm Tim,
And I'm Chris.
and this is Mike.
Hello.
We are talking about... No, I'm just kidding. I actually know what we're talking about. Today we're talking about overcoming differences. You guys thought I didn't know.
I thought you forgot for a second.
Had me worried there for a second.
Oh crap, Tim forgot we're going to have to do another cut. Oh no.
No, I knew what we're talking about. We're talking about overcoming differences. It's just a little bit of like a heavy topic, so I had to like brace myself for
Fair
this
enough.
one. Because believe it or not, we are going to come a little bit hard on this one.
Yeah.
We're going to start light. We're going to get easy into it.
I've got, FYI, I've got the heaviest example, just saying. Ooh, it's pretty
And I'm going to let Mike start us off. So I'm going to ask Mike what you think is a great example of overcoming differences in film.
Again, I'm gonna start things off a little light, just because we're gonna step into some deep shit later on. I'm gonna see that. So I'm talking about the underrated Steven Spielberg film, The Terminal.
Yes.
Starring Tom Hanks
Yes.
and like a plethora of other characters.
Catherine Zeta-Jones is
Oh yeah, and like Diego Luna is in it.
Yeah.
nice.
Stanley Tucci's in it.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's like this weird mishmash of people. But yeah, for those of you who don't know, spoiler alert. It's about this Eastern European. They had to make up like a country.
Yeah.
For him. So like he.
So it's not like whitewashing.
Oh yeah, apparently not. And he like mid-flight as he's like traveling to, I think it's JFK.
Yeah.
He like his country goes into like open revolution essentially, and he becomes like and he's no longer a citizen of any country. So, according to the laws in the States, you can't leave the airport because it's like international ground technically. So the film pretty much tells a story of how this like absolutely like this foreigner just adapts to American culture and just life in this airport
Through the lens of the airport. Like,
Oh, yeah.
He starts by like eating ketchup packets and crackers. Or no, it
it was ketchup
mustard.
and it was mustard. It was mustard and soda crackers,
Yeah.
and he just sandwiches it together.
Yeah.
But then,
He does all these crazy things to like get by.
and like totally, it ranges from making like a makeshift bed in like this decrepit part of the airport,
Yeah.
to like building like this magnificent fountain.
Yeah.
And it's kind of cool because one of the, if we're gonna stick on theme, like one of the reasons why I chose this as my movie is just because one of the main like adversities that he has to overcome is language barrier.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't speak a word of English, and it's like this weird, like I think the language was Caucasian, if I recall, and nobody knows what he's saying. And then like he kind of starts picking up the English language and starts making friends, and then it becomes like this whole thing where he brings everybody in the terminal all together, and it's. Not a lot of people like this movie. I'm just gonna tell you this right now. It's definitely
it didn't do very well.
Yeah, it didn't really do very well in the theater, and it wasn't a hit with critics. But like, it was a feel good movie. Like, it was a little bittersweet in the end with because like there's this whole romantic subplot with Catherine Zeta-Jones and Tom Hanks' character. But I thought it was really good. It was a very enjoyable movie, and if you're looking for something that. Like a simple story with likable characters and a great cast, I would highly recommend The Terminal.
Yeah, it's definitely a popcorn movie.
Oh yeah,
it's,
for sure.
It's not, like you said, it's not something that you'd sit there and say, this is a pinnacle of cinematography or great dialogue or master casting or anything like that. Like it's a good movie. It's enjoyable.
Yep, very much so.
Yeah. I'm gonna go next because mine is not as crazy as Chris's example.
Fair enough.
But I would say it is still pretty heavy. It is a Clint Eastwood film. I believe he directed as well as starred in it.
He did.
It is called Gran Torino. It is one of my favorite Clint Eastwood movies. And it's a car movie, so it kind of like ties into my whole love of cars as well. And it's a really interesting story, and like we've all seen it, so like I don't have to explain the details to you guys. But for those of you who haven't seen it, effectively Clint Eastwood starts off as this curmudgeon. Like he's this very old, bitter man who has limited interactions with his children, and they all kind of like don't like him or like they feel obligated to come see him. His wife has passed away. he's in a neighborhood that's being what started out as an immigrant community of people of his ethnicity is slowly turning into a bunch of Asian immigrants, and he is not wildly racist, but he's quite racist.
Yeah.
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 And I think he served in the Vietnam
And I think it's
War?
Korean.
Or is it Korean?
I thought it was Korean War. Yeah.
Okay, Korean War.
I think so.
And he interacts with all these people, and he, just makes all these assumptions about what they're like and how to behave with them. And one day he comes across this group that is being a group of neighbors, or rather people that live nearby him, that are being harassed by another group of people. And then he finds out that they're I think they're I always forget how to pronounce it. It's like Hums or Hungs or whatever, but they're people who actually sided with the U.S. During this war. And so he starts to slowly realize that his perceptions of how things went down and how all these different ethnic groups operate or work together in those circumstances were very wildly different than he understood. And that also, because he's making friends and becoming a father figure for one of these kids, that again, it's like it humanizes that relationship. And he ultimately does this really grand gesture. I don't want to ruin the movie because I think that you should watch it. But
yeah, it's very good. But
it's very good, and it's heartwarming and also tragic at the same time.
Yeah, I absolutely agree.
Yeah.
First time I ever saw it was on a plane.
Yeah.
And like on one of those little screens on the back of the seat. And I was looking for something to watch while we were flying out east, and came across it, watched it. I'm like, as soon as I got back home, I went and bought a copy of it because it's just so good.
Yeah. So yeah, Gran Torino, I highly recommend it.
Yeah.
But
agreed.
I'll let you go now, Chris.
All right, so now we're gonna move into as Mike so colorfully said earlier, deep shit. It is. So the movie I'm going to talk about, American History X.
Right.
Very deep. It's very, it's the material is it's not for the faint of heart for sure.
Yeah. It addresses themes of racism, but in a very graphic.
Very graphic way, very upfront in your face way.
Yeah.
They're not shy about using the N-word.
Yeah.
In that film at all.
Yeah.
There's Nazi symbolism everywhere.
Yeah.
The curb stomp, the curb stomp thing is just
every time I think of it,
that hurts to watch.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, that was one of those scenes that, and I'm very much into gore. I can handle a lot of gore. I can't handle that. It's just so
makes you feel sick.
Exactly. Absolutely. So now, overcoming differences, the main character played by Edward Norton, who he starts out as this. You can see how he got down the path he was of being he was at first a normal kid and then eventually became racist. They follow his journey down that path and then his ultimate redemption. Again, like Gran Torino, it's very it's very tragic, but it's also, you see the journey of his character and he realizes that racism is wrong, hate is wrong. After he goes to prison for killing that person. It was somebody who was trying to rob him, but still. So he ends up going to prison, and he of course declares, he takes off his shirt in the prison yard, and so you can see all his Nazi tattoos, and he becomes part of the Aryan Brotherhood there.
Yeah.
But then he quickly finds out that they're very willing to when it comes to making money and selling drugs and the whole politics inside the prison, they're very quick to abandon their beliefs to work with. It's like, well, why are you selling drugs to these, or moving drugs for these guys? They're Hispanic or whatever they were, right?
Yeah.
He's we're supposed to hate those guys, and it's yeah, but there's money to be made here, basically. So he basically quickly realizes how hollow that whole hate movement is.
Yeah.
And then of course he
befriends
objects to
someone.
and he objects to it. They beat him up. He befriends somebody of a different race, and then he views it through a whole different lens. So, again, the events at the end of the film are very tragic, but that whole journey there is quite fascinating.
Well, and to see how his brother goes through a similar story arc.
Yeah.
And then ultimately, his brother doesn't actually succumb to the same level of.
No, he's only in it almost at like a very shallow level. Like he's almost like just kind of dipping his toes into it.
Yeah.
And his brother is very much like, why are you hanging out with these? He's like, I've been through this. Trust me, you don't want to go down this road. It's terrible. But I don't think he ever really believes in all the hate that they spew or their core beliefs. But it kind of seems like he feels like he has no choice, and he's kind of immersed in that world, and he feels like he has no choice but to go down that path. But
yeah,
and I mean, again, events at the end of the film, it's very tragic. But I mean, it's the overall message of the film. It's just like, this is what hate begets hate, right? Violence begets violence. So
yeah,
it's a very, very powerful film, but it's not something that you should just watch on a Friday night when you're wondering what to watch on Netflix. Maybe don't queue up there.
As we've said before, this is an example of a movie that you can't. It's a quality versus rewatchable, right? Like you can't. It's a good film and you want to watch it, but you're not going to sit there and watch it like Mike says. Like he's not going to put in his monthly queue of films to watch.
No, you're just no. You probably watch it every few years, maybe.
Maybe, and even then,
then it's still tough because Mississippi Burning is along the same lines, right? Same thing.
Yeah. So
it's because they do such a good job of drawing you into the experience. Your emotions go along for the ride. So like at the end of the film, you're emotionally drained.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, I think I watched it like 2 or 3 years ago, and I'm still like, should I watch it again? And I'm like, yeah, I've seen it. I know how it goes.
Yeah,
you think
exactly.
You think twice about popping into your Blu-ray player or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like again, like you said before, it's not something I would probably add into my monthly rotation just because of the heavy subject matter.
Yeah.
And it's just whenever I think about that movie, I'm just going like, it's a good movie. Like
the message
actors,
is great.
Oh no, exactly, and like the actors do such a good job throughout the entire movie. But at the same time, I'm just going, I don't need to see the curb stomp scene.
Yeah,
again,
right.
No.
That was the stuff in the prison was also pretty rough for everyone.
Yeah,
too. I'm just like, oh
Absolutely
man.
it was.
But I wonder. We talk about like the purpose of this topic was to show examples of films that showcase overcoming differences, and I think in this topic specifically, we're seeing, the negative consequences of this. And the reason why we do cross-talk, as we say every once in a while, is it's not just about, us talking about our love of film. It's about sharing the value of film and why film is a great art form to, talk through the issues or to get people to, like, befriend people or,
just convey life lessons or, like, just teach, just to, this is what this is actually like.
Yeah.
I mean...
So, I have to wonder, because I didn't watch this until I was well into my 20s, but I have to wonder if this is one of those films that, like, even though it's incredibly graphic and violent, could you imagine if you put that into a school system and had kids watch that? Like, that is, like, it's that
powerful.
It would be an eye-opener for sure.
Yeah, it's very powerful. Yeah.
So, I guess on that note, like, I'm getting shivers. On that note, I feel like we've talked about this, like, to death.
I agreed. Yeah.
Almost, maybe that's a bad choice of words, but we talked about this to a level where it's like...
We already covered death in film. Tim, what are you doing? Okay.
Yeah, but I think that encapsulates the idea pretty well.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
That was good.
So,
I think we summarized it, yeah. So, what do you think? What do you think about our choices? How do you feel about American History X? Feel free to comment about the video, like and share, or even better, subscribe to the channel.
Till next time, I'm Tim.
And I'm Chris.
And this is Crosstalk.